In Naruto, there are plenty of characters that are portrayed or implied to be very powerful shinobi, but due to a lack of showings in this series, they are automatically downplayed and are considered fodder. One of those characters being Sasori, an Akatsuki member who didn't get much screen time in comparison to the other members and was also the first member to be defeated. But I do think many overlook some things about Sasori that shows him to be more powerful than some people may think. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how strong Sasori is. So we know that Sasori is from the Hidden Sand village and is the grandson of Lady Chiyo, and that after the death of his parents, Chiyo decided to teach Sasori the art of puppetry. And due to this, Sasori not only became a master puppeteer, but also a master craftsman. His puppets also enhanced his reputation by dyeing the sand red with the foe's blood during the war, giving him the name Sasori of the Red Sand. Many of the puppets he created during his lifetime were passed down to Kankuro, while his mom and dad puppets were obtained by Chiyo. However, Sasori's best talent was creating human puppets. These puppets are unique as unlike normal puppets, they can hold chakra and use jutsu that the shinobi possess during their lifetime. Although this could be limited to the usage of their Kekkei Genkai, but there is no real confirmation. And according to Chiyo, Sasori is the only person who can create them. We only see about a few of them throughout the entire series, the first being Hiroko, stated to be one of Sasori's favorite puppets and also his most used. This was designed to counteract the puppeteer's weakness of close combat, serving as his armor but also his weapon, possessing an arm that shoots out needles and a tail that can be used for offense and defense. The most infamous human puppet Sasori possesses, however, is the third Kazekage. This shinobi was considered the strongest Kazekage in the history of the Hidden Sand. He was so powerful in fact that according to the villagers, the thought of him being defeated was unbelievable, which is something to keep in mind throughout the video. But what made the third Kazekage so extraordinary by many was his jutsu called the Iron Sand, stated to be the most feared weapon in the Hidden Sand village, even more feared than that of the tailed beast Shikaku. By using magnetic forces, the user of the Iron Sand can form it into the perfect weapon for any situation. This can be formed as bullets or any kind of geometrical shape and much more, making it very versatile. The sand can also clog up the joints of any puppets it comes into contact with, making it impossible for any puppeteer to defeat Sasori as long as he possesses the third Kazekage's power. The last and best human puppet Sasori possesses is himself, as with this new body he not only possesses many weapons such as the blades on his back and the wire on his torso, but he is also indestructible. Now the core in Sasori's chest is very vital, as it serves as a means of controlling his chakra. It also serves as Sasori's life force, so as long as the core remains unharmed, Sasori is basically nigh immortal. Sasori also shown superiority of the puppet technique by being able to control over 100 puppets at once. This is a massive feat as even the most elite puppeteers can't control more than 10 puppets simultaneously. And lastly, the most dangerous weapon he possesses is his poison. This poison created by Sasori is one of the most deadliest poisons in the entire series of Naruto, as once hit by it, the poison numbs and paralyzes the body, killing the victim in about 2 to 3 days. Although there are other poisons that could kill a person in a shorter time, it is still much more advanced, so much so that even a poison expert like Chiyo couldn't attempt to make a cure for it. So that's about it for Sasori and his abilities. Let's move on into his scaling. So let me just say this right off the bat. Sasori is much more powerful than Chiyo. Even though during their fight she does keep up with him, Sasori not only has superior puppets, but can also manipulate 10 times the amount she can. Even when it came to Hiroko, she claims to not having enough power to destroy it. Now you could assume this meant that no puppet she possessed, including her Chikamatsu collection, could destroy it. But we've seen the mother and father puppets clash with the third Kazekage puppet, who earlier shows AP capable of destroying Hiroko's tail. So more than likely, Chiyo meant that she couldn't destroy it by physical means. Now I know many people will say, why is Chiyo relevant? As she doesn't possess any known scaling other than being inferior to Sasori, which would be valid if you didn't consider the statement where she claims to have fought Hanzo many times. This statement can also be used to prove that Chiyo in her prime was stronger than Asani, who only fought Hanzo once. And there is also a reason to believe that Hanzo at his prime was still stronger than Asani even past their younger days, as Jiraiya still regarded Hanzo as a very strong shinobi and was in complete disbelief that someone was able to beat him. Although this statement by Chiyo will only be referring to her prime, it shouldn't really matter too much, because even at her old age, Chiyo was still able to dodge and react to most of Sasori's attacks, and her skills at manipulating puppets are still at an all-time high. Some may argue against this, however, as it should be common sense that as you get older, you should get weaker and or slower. But in Naruto, the way how aging affects the character does vary, Inoki being a prime example, as Deidara himself stated that he was faster now than in his prime. Now the databooks give indication that Chiyo in her old age lost her will due to the long years of war between the villages. She also grew bitter to a point where she decided to wait for her death, but after joining Team Kakashi and fighting alongside Sakura, it ignited the fighting spirit she once had, which should indicate that the Chiyo we see fighting is somewhere in the realm of her prime, since she still could keep up with Sasori in puppet manipulation even at her old age. So if you want to go down this line of scaling for Sasori, you could then make the argument that he not only surpassed Prime Chiyo, but also Hanzo as well, meaning that he's more powerful than the base Sannin and stronger than most of the Akatsuki outright. On top of this, there's also the fact that Sasori defeated the third Kazekage prior to becoming a puppet, concluding that Sasori, even while alive, was Kage level and was also the strongest shinobi the Sand has ever had. However, there is a hole in this scaling that shouldn't be ignored, as Chiyo's statement is kind of unreliable to use it as a way for scaling her to Hanzo, as the statement could be referring to the salamander summoning and not Hanzo himself, which wouldn't be an odd way of interpreting it, as the context of the conversation between Kanko and Chiyo was about the poison of the salamander and how Chiyo was able to develop an antidote for it due to facing him many times. There's also the fact that Hanzo never really acknowledges Chiyo's skills the same way as he did with the Sannin, not even once giving her recognition during the war arc. So it's possible that these encounters with Hanzo didn't really leave a lasting impression on him, as unlike the Sannin who he only fought once, Hanzo doesn't see Chiyo as a great shinobi but as an old annoying hag despite facing her many times in battle, which should end the idea that Chiyo in her prime was on par with Hanzo and stronger than the Sannin. But despite all those things, Sasori is still a powerful shinobi compared to most. But of course there is some contention, as many people like to place him as one of the weakest members in the Akatsuki due to his fight against Chiyo and Sakura, but many do ignore some very important factors that had a major impact on the outcome of this fight. So the one thing I just want to get out the way is that both Chiyo and Sakura needed one another in order to defeat Sasori, as both covered the attributes the other lacked. For Chiyo, she lacked the raw power necessary to take out Sasori's puppets, and for Sakura, she lacked the experience and evasion skills necessary to avoid all Sasori's attacks. Although she was trained to skillfully dodge and read her opponent's moves, she wouldn't have gotten far without the help of Granny Chiyo's assistance. And it wasn't until very late into the fight where she began to dodge most of the attacks on her own. Also, the antidote made by Sakura played a major factor in the fight as well, as it allowed Sakura to go all out without needing to worry about the poison. And there's indication that Sakura was mentally amped during the fight against Sasori due to thinking about Sasuke. But even with all of that, they barely managed to defeat him, so he shouldn't be labeled as weak due to this fight at all. I also won't go over Edo Sasori, as his showing during this time are even worth going over and is irrelevant for his scaling. Overall, Sasori is a very powerful shinobi that shouldn't be overlooked or underestimated. While his feats don't do him much justice, the lore does give us a baseline of how strong he was. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to drop a like and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see y'all next time.